Ladies and gentlemen of the tribe, welcome back to another Galaxy of Heroes video. Today we are kicking off our Conquest video extravaganza. That's what I'm calling it because I can't get something else to rhyme with the word Gorgonzola. I'm bringing you the cheesiest strats today, guys. Let's strap in. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are all progressing well within Conquest. Now, I want to start off with just some couple global event cheeses. We are going to be covering sector by sector, but I just so happened to finish up recording 2 pairs of cheese that I think you'll find absolutely delectable, and I thought I'd share it with the tribe and the wider holotables. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, because this one is delish. Okay, so we are going to be covering 2 feats today, guys. We're going to be covering the we'll get to that afterwards. We are going to be covering off the defeat 600 B1 battle droids and 50 enemies with STAP. Now, we're not doing this at the same time, but theoretically you could. We're going to defeat 50 enemies with STAP in one battle. Just the one battle to get 50 enemies killed with STAP, and it doesn't matter what gear level your STAP is. You could do it with basically nothing on him at 3 stars, just fresh out of that marquee packet. And the 600 B1 battle droids you should be able to do in about 3, maybe 4 battles in totality from what I've seen so far. If you do not have Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, it will take you a little bit longer, about twice as long. So instead of 3 or 4 battles, you might be looking at somewhere in the region 6, 7, maybe 8 battles tops. I know that kind of sucks, but that's the cookie jar that we've been given. Let's start off with the STAP glory then, shall we? We are going to be doing this in Sector 1. So not only is Sector 1 the easiest sector of all sectors within Galaxy of Heroes, it also has a rather wonderful Night Sister node with Zombie. And if you don't know what Zombie does, it revives all the time. Marvelous. We're going to abuse that. That's fantastic. There's a reason why CG never usually lets us have a zombie node. It's because anything with kills is going to endear itself to cheeses. So, what are we looking at? I've got some consumables on right now, but you don't have to worry about any of that nonsense. It's not necessary. I was doing some deployable cooling system stuff just for funsies. Look at all this wonderful things that I can pick up right now. Let's take a look at the data discs right now. This is what I'm running with. I've got a stacking offense, we've got some vitality, a bunch of heal overtimes, and some entrenched stuff, legendary consumables. None of this matters. Honestly, we've got a quickening as well. If you want to be able to do this, just have anything that's going to ramp offense. I like the heal overtimes. They are 1 dot at blue level. They can give you 4 heal overtimes, supposedly stacking with this stacking offense to constantly raise our offense. It doesn't matter. You could literally do this with more or less nothing. However, if you are going to run this variant with Malak, I do recommend that you go in and throw Voluntary Vanguard if you happen to have it. That will let them target Malak instead of what else we're going to be using. So what is the team exactly? The team is thus. It's very simple and very straightforward how we get this done. We're going to be abusing the mechanics that General Skywalker has on his ability, which is when he attacks a unit that is below or has no protection, he is going to reduce their max health all the time. We can essentially reduce zombies' max health to nothing, so even I could slap that zombie about the face and it would die in a hit. So our STAP over here has got no Zetas, 3 stars. I took it to gear 8 because why not take it at gear 8? You could do it at gear 1, to be honest. We're using just any other 501st. I chose to use Rex. I'm throwing in Wat Tambor and Malak. You don't need Malak unless you are worried about your gas surviving. If your gas is relatively chunky, lots and lots of protection, good defense, that sort of thing, you don't have to worry about Malak. He is your insurance, basically. He's your insurance in case General Skywalker sits down, and that's when you'll want to have Voluntary Vanguard so that Malak will get that marked ability, and instead of attacking gas, they might attack Malak, or when gas sits down, they'll only be able to attack Malak. Okay, so let's roll the footage and I'll talk you through it. So here we are on this wonderful node. Now the great thing about Gas's leadership is that he prevents revives. What do Night Sisters do? They revive all the time. Night Sister Zombie, that revive can never be prevented, so we get to have ourselves some rather wonderful cheese. We're just immediately going to strip off the Taunt Off Zombie. I'm going to do some form up. I'm going to place weapons tech on the STAP to give him an extra turn meter when Spirit takes turns, and then we just kill people. We kill people out the gate. I'm like, yep, there's my deployable cooling systems coming into play. Just kill people. And when you get to this point, you point it at Zombie and you put it on auto basic. That is the strat. That's it. That's all we do. It's beautiful. So because of our ramping offense and because we've got heal over times, essentially those heal over times are going to be increasing the damage. So at the start there, STAP did about 7,000 damage. We'll see what it's like at the end. It doesn't matter, but it's good to know. So that's going to be ramping our offense throughout the entirety. What is placing that tank tech on Gas so he's recovering protection so he doesn't sit down, and Malik can just sit there with nothing. We could put the med pack tech on him if we wanted to. If you're running, voluntary vanguard, I'd say crack on. But what's happening here essentially is that every single time B1 is taking a turn, or every single time he's gaining a buff, he's gaining offense. Every time Gas is hitting Zombie, he's reducing Zombie's max health, so Zombie has no max health to speak of. Spirit over there doesn't have the DPS to actually make my Gas sit down, and Gas is always going to taunt as long as there is a living 501st ally on the team. How you doing, Rex? Now we could obviously put this on full auto, but there is a very real risk that Gas might do 2 back-to-back AoEs and kill the Spirit, and we don't want that at all because that could cause bad business. The other great thing is because we're not using a full 501st team, Gas is not going to be counter-attacking and trying to kill the Spirit. So as you can see, STAP now is actually shooting and one-tapping Night Sister Zombie. I had 0 kills with my STAP before trying this out, and the battle is 10 minutes long. So you can just leave it on auto basic, go downstairs, put the kettle on, have a nice brew, sit down, dunk your biscuits, hobnobs, chocolate coated hobnobs is a personal favourite of your boy Scribble, give it a try, and then come back in about 10 minutes time to find, yes, you've got 50 kills with your Gear 1 STAP. Marvellous. I'm just going to skip ahead. So here we are at the end. You can see Night Sister Zombie has literally no health. Five's just basic for over 200k, Malik just basic, Gas is doing nearly 700,000 on a basic, STAP is doing, I think he did about 30,000 there on a non-basic, not too shabby for a Gear 8 3-star character, not too shabby at all. And what we'll see eventually, oh look at Gas's damage, 700,000 damage, 53k coming out of a Gear 7 STAP, it's really not so bad is it? And the clock is about to run out and you'll see that rather wonderful little ding, and we will have that glorious feat complete in record-breaking time. You can do this right out of the rip. Isn't it wonderful? Yes, we did fail. We failed the node, but you could always kill it at the end. 50 enemies with STAP. Easy squeezy, lemon peasy. For the 600 B1 kills, we're heading to the end boss of Sector 3. That is right, this is the best place to do it, guys. This whole boss node has got infinite waves of essentially what is B1 battle droids. They're not quite, they're a just slightly different version. So this one is the node that's specifically designed to be actually abused for this, okay? So what do we want to do exactly? What do we want to do? Well, this, I'm going to give you 2 options. One is going to be with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and that's designed to give you as many kills as you possibly can. Just keep on ramping, keep on going, and have a lot of fun doing it. And then I'm going to give you some alternatives for those of you that don't have Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. It's not going to be as fast, but it will still be relatively effective. Data discs, once again, I'm going for the same thing over here. We want some stacking offense, I want some heal over time, some entrench just to give us more survivability. Don't worry about this legendary consumable boost, we don't need it. We've got heal over times and quickening and stuff like this. Basically just stuff that's going to give us buffs at the start of the turn. Now in the footage I'm about to show you, I do have deployable cooling systems active, which you can get either just through pure luck through the boxes, or I believe you can get it from the Conquest Pass Plus. I know you don't need it, guys. Don't stress too much. You do not need deployable cooling systems to make this work. It might be a little bit slower. It might be just about the same. I've seen people do it just as effectively without it. The team that we're going to use then, first team, first and foremost, is going to be using that rather wonderful Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and we are not going to take in many allies with him. We're going to take in the Armourer, and we are going to take in What's Tambor, and that is it. All we want to do is get the triple stacks of armor on the Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. That's going to make sure he has a 100% counter chance, can't be crit, and is going to recover protection at the start of each turn. And then we're going to place the armor tech on Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and that's kind of it. Let's see the footage. It's very simple and straightforward. We're going to use the first wave just as a small moment to ramp up the amount of damage that we're doing. So I'm just going to use the poke a couple of times, just focus exclusively on the commando battle droid at the start. We don't actually want them doing very much. I'm placing the weapons tech over an armor for no good reason. I can poke back to back thanks to this deployable cooling system. You're not going to be doing that. if you've not got deployable cooling system, you just go poke, basic, wait for you to get back around to a poke, poke again. Okay, and we're just going to keep doing that. Poke a couple of times just to ramp up that siphon nice and early. You don't want to do this with just 40 stacks. It's going to be a little bit slower. When you get the chance, make sure you get that armor shred on that battle droid. Place the triple stacks of Beskar armor on Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. I think I take this to 200 stacks. After that, I just start swiping. And at that point, honestly, you could probably put it on auto. I do have one concern though. I put it on auto here and you'll see how it goes. There is a slight bug with the game right now. I don't know if it's because of BlueStacks or the data disk setup that I was using, but essentially doing this does cause me to miss because these units don't load in time. Can you see how there was one B1 battle droid there that didn't get hit? He didn't evade, it just didn't trigger. I think it's because the units load in slowly and Kylo tries to do his attack too soon and it misses occasionally. It's not even showing an evade or a dodge or anything like that. It just misses. It happens really, really frequently. This can be avoided if you play it manually, okay? So if you want to play it manually, either get yourself a button clicker or something like that to just constantly do the swipe ability, or you could just get it to press any old button really, swipe ability or basic or what have you, just to try and get through it. And there's a really clear indicator of how many kills that you've actually got in this run. If you look at the crate in the middle, that number there is an indicator of how many B1 stacks you've actually killed. So you can use that to say, oh, this run I managed to get 150 kills, or this run I managed to get 200 kills if you're really, really good. And that's about it really, guys. You can just put this on auto. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren should be one-shotting everybody here every single turn. Basically, you can't kill the guy with the blue buff there, that commando battle droid, because he can't die while he has allies, so he's always going to take an additional hit, and that's honestly okay. Just means that you're going to swipe once, a new wave will spawn, or rather swipe once, hit the battle droid once, new wave will spawn, and then you just keep on going and going and going. Eventually they are going to ramp up so many stats and speed that they're going to kill off the ads, and they will actually start to hurt you, but you should be survivable enough if you've got the same sort of data discs as I have. You can't be crit thanks to the Beskar armor, you're going to be counter-attacking, you've got ultimate to put you into damage immunity. Unfortunately on auto he'll always go in as soon as he's got the ult available instead of waiting for 3 stacks. It's a little bit of a shame, but it is what it is. So we're going to skip ahead forward here and just to see how many kills we get in the end. So coming into the last 20 odd seconds or so now, you can see the game is actually slowing down quite massively because of all of the sheer volume of stats that we've got, calculating the number of stats that the enemy B1s have got. It slows it right down for me. So I've got just over 200 kills here, encroaching on 209, 210 kills. I think this just goes really slow at the end. I think if it wasn't for game slowdown, I could probably be at like 220, 230, maybe at a push. I don't know. I left the game running back there. You get some extra kills. Don't know if that counted or not. We'd have to wait and see. But using this sort of method, you should be able to get yourself a good 150 plus kills per time doing it using Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. If you want, you can throw in people like Hux and First Order Officer to pass turns back and forth to Kylo, but honestly I felt it was easier to have as few ads as possible to just try and get through to Kylo's turns, always back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, if you are not going to be using Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, I do recommend that you go with a Zealous Ambition data disk setup, just like this one here. Now, Zealous Ambition manages to convert max health into additional offense for either support or healer types, or technically both, right? So pair that with stuff like Vitality to increase your max health. If you've got Leader's Resolve, that is another fantastic one to be using with this particular setup. And then I'm still using my heal over times, my entrenched, and that sort of business. If you've got stacking offense as well, that pairs really well with the stacking offense, because you're starting each turn with buffs. That means slowly over time you're going to be ramping more and more damage. Instead of Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, then we are going to be running Imperial Troopers as shown here. Now the good thing about Imperial Troopers is they've got a boatload of means of gaining turn meter. Okay, they gain a boatload of turn meter whenever they gain buffs, 10% per buff, and they also ramp offense at the same time. So using that Zealous Ambition, because a lot of them are also support types, we're not taking in Dark Trooper here, because a lot of them are support types, it means we're just going to be doing more and more damage. So the principle is very much the same. You just want to have a target take the Emperor's Trap, and then you just want to go to town. You can quite easily put this on full auto, and well, maybe don't target the unit that's unkillable, that's not going to do you any favors. And basically, as time goes on, you're just going to do stupid amounts of damage, and you're going to be stacking this Emperor's Trap, which is giving us stacks of percentile offense and potency every time we do it. It is going to get to a point where you can't kill the units. Be careful when you're going on auto. Make sure you try to target away from the person who's got the blue buff icon there, because you will not be able to kill them until you've killed the allies. And unfortunately, sometimes that just means you need to do a little bit of manual targeting. But other than that, you should be able to just go have some fun, full auto, and you should be able to get about 80 to 100 kills. It really depends. It gets to a point where the enemy does really start to stack quite heavily. Again, this is still running deployable cooling systems, which is of course helping. Now what you will notice here is that the enemy will start taking turns, but they don't interrupt our Emperor stack. I don't know why. It must be the way this particular node is coded for some reason, but they are not always, even when they interrupt us, they're not resetting our Emperor stack, which is quite useful. It means we get to maintain all that wonderful offense boosting that we get. Now I suppose we could even put this on auto basic to try and get even more damage across the board, but I feel like having it on full auto is perfectly acceptable. Again, you might miss some of the attacks thanks to the spawning mechanic, but just playing it on manual should be able to fix that. Piet is actually doing crazy amounts of damage there. Having Gideon in can put Demoralized out normally, but it doesn't seem to work against these battle droids. I think again it's due to the spawning mechanic, so maybe don't even bother with Gideon. You could probably throw in someone else to try and get the same thing. If you do throw in Dark Trooper here, there is the benefit that you will be able to work towards those 50 kills within the sector, which is great because it means you don't have to do that as you are going through, because you can do them all on this one battle. It's just because of the reflected true damage from the boss, it means you will lose quite a few stacks of that Dark Trooper, and he is in danger of just being one shot near the end. But this is okay. You can see we've got up to 134 stacks, right, 135 stacks of Emperor's Trap, which is roughly in the region of really loads of damage, something like that. You can see we're doing, what, 400,000 there on a basic. That's not too shabby. 483,000 there. It's decent damage, and that number is only going to go higher. Now, there is going to be a cap to this. You're not going to be able to do this all the way, at least not in my testing, simply because eventually the enemy is ramping up too many stats. Every time we kill, the enemy is gaining stacking 2%, I want to say, per enemy killed. So that crate at the bottom is basically working as a multiplier for the enemy stats. Right now it's going to be on 50. They times that by 2, so they've got 100% additional health, protection, offense, speed, all this sort of business. The more people we kill, the harder it's going to become. You can see that basic there did 500,000, didn't even clear out the enemy's protection. Kind of nutty, if you ask me, kind of nutty. But still, we are able to still kill them. So let's skip ahead to the end here and see how we get on. So we've got about 2 minutes left here of this battle, and we've breached just over 100 kills so far, still on full auto. Now the enemy is getting really chunky and very fast at this point, and I would imagine that we're probably not going to last much longer or get as many kills now, because we're going to lose all of that turn meter train benefit. The enemy is going to start one-tapping our units very soon as well, so we'll start losing off our units. But it goes to show that the Imperial Troopers can do very good work here. Now I'm going to rephrase, this is still with deployable cooling systems, which means you are going to be getting more kills with this setup. We just lost our Veers there. Veers. You will definitely get more kills using deployable cooling systems than without, but I imagine you'll still be able to get somewhere in the region of about 80 odd kills, which means you should be able to get this done in about 7 or 8 battles, which I know is not ideal, and Supreme Leader Kylo is much better, but if you don't happen to have it, this seems to be the best sort of setup that I've seen. Maybe something like a CLS team could get this done better, I'm not sure. I don't think they've got enough ramping offense, truth be told. So I think that's going to about do it for our start of our very cheesy conquest. I've got a lot of good videos coming up for you very soon. Make sure you do hit that like button and subscribe to your boy Scribe so you don't miss a single thing. I'm here to help make sure you get your Queen Amidala as quickly and easily as possible. Alright guys, that's going to about do it. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.